So with the bad weather and the horrible guests and the long hours and the low pay, why on earth would somebody want to be a Disney cast member? I was a Disney PhotoPass photographer, a cast member at Walt Disney World for 5 years. And I've worked at a couple other theme parks as well. Love my time at Silver Dollar City and Busch Gardens, but oftentimes I get asked, why on earth would I want to do that job? Why would I want to take the low pay and the long hours and work in miserable conditions and put up with grumpy, horrid guests? And, people are wonderful being able to come up with everything wrong with the job. So why did I do it? And especially for so long? And how could I enjoy it? Well, there were actually a number of reasons why I did it. The reason I got a job at Busch Gardens for 2 years, I was actually working as a full-time elementary school teacher. I was their computer lab instructor. And I was looking for a way to de-stress on the weekends and my free time. Where I was teaching at the time was a very high-stress position. It was in the inner city and just a rough place. Busch Gardens was actually a place that we would go to on a regular basis just to relax. And so my job that I got there, I picked up just as something fun to do where I can kind of joke around and goof off, and Rhino Rally at the time fit that perfectly. I was able to tell all sorts of jokes and play with the guests, and it was a way to get paid to have fun. For me, it was a great stress relief. And if I wasn't working, well, hey, then I could be in the park writing and doing other things. For Disney in particular, the way things happened to work out when I went there, if you'll pardon the expression, if you're not a religious person, I really felt it was God's hand guiding me. We had taken a ministry position at a church over near Orlando. We were living near Tampa, and so we were looking to move over to that area. My wife had managed to get a full-time job at a school right there. Very nice job at a charter school, and that worked wonderfully. But I needed something on my end to help pay the bills because Florida at the time was a bit expensive. We needed just a little bit more since we were married and had 2 kids. It wasn't a position that just one income was going to really be able to cover it. And so I started looking, trying to find jobs, and happened to look in the newspaper. Yes, we still use those back in 2006. And saw a classified ad that was looking for photographers at Disney World. Well, hey, I could do that. I love taking pictures, which if you've seen my Smug Mug page, you'll see how much I love taking pictures and the thousands and thousands of them there. I could do pictures, and the pay scale actually was a little bit more than the regular park worker. It was considered a technical and administration job versus a regular in the park job. And so it was a couple dollars an hour more. I'm like, all right, I could do that. And so I actually responded to the classified ad, basically thinking, hey, this could be something that's fun for me and actually pay semi-decent. So why on earth would I think that was fun? For me personally, I grew up as a theme park nut. Ever since I was probably about 10 years old, I loved going to theme parks and amusement parks. I loved the occasional trips down to Disneyland that my family would take. But then as I hit my 20s, it really kind of became a big hobby for me and a passion. Not just the roller coasters, but everything about amusement and theme parks I really enjoyed. And of course, Disney is the ultimate theme park. They set the standards for ride quality, for theming, for the workers, the atmosphere, and everything. They are the ones that everybody compares themselves to. They're also the ones that, if you visit the parks, it's very easy to just get immersed in the atmosphere of the parks. Well, how much cooler would it be to be able to work as part of that? I'm kind of picky on what I do because I want to make sure it's a job I'm going to have fun. I greatly appreciate the people who work in the kitchens, who are cashiers, who do those kinds of things. The parks can't operate without them. But I was at a stage in life in my mid-30s kind of saying, you know what, I really don't want to do that kind of stuff anymore. I want to do something that appeals more to me and my skill set and my age. And the photography just really fit that very well. It allowed me to do what I love, which is working with the guests. And as much as cast members might complain about the weird guests, the silly guests, the cranky guests, and stuff like that, they're actually just a very small percentage of them. I would say half to 1%, maybe. 99% of your guests are fantastic. They're happy, they're wonderful, they're joyful, they're entertaining, and they're a fun to be with and interact with. If you enjoy working with people, and I actually do, then it's going to fit very well if you've got a job working with people, which actually is really kind of weird for me if you know me at all, because I'm really what I would call an extroverted introvert. If I'm working, I love performing, I love interacting if I'm kind of in a role. So working in a theme park fits that very well. But if I'm not doing that, I'm actually not a great conversationalist. I like kind of hiding on my own in the corner. If I go to a social function, I will pick a corner seat and just kind of sit there and watch everybody, because I don't want to be the center of attention unless I'm supposed to be the center of attention. And then my job is to make sure that everybody else is happy. It's this really weird dichotomy. And so I will perform for a while, and then afterwards I'm exhausted and just leave me alone. Which is why you see me real happy and giddy on the videos. Yes, I'm performing. I'm showing you my good side and trying to make sure you're happy. And then when I'm done, I go blah. It means that I enjoy doing roles where my job is to make somebody happy. I really get a kick out of that. It feeds me. It makes me feel good about what I do. Well, what do you do at a theme park? Your job is to make people happy. And especially as a photographer, it's capturing those moments when they're happy so they can help remember them forever. Played perfectly into what I love to do and how I like to do it. And so for me, really the position itself was a dream job. I mean, I couldn't ask for a job that I probably would have liked to do more. Now the pay, yes, it's not great, but it made enough money that it contributed to what my wife did and it helped fit our household needs. Could you live off of that as an individual? Probably not. But as long as you had another income in the household, you'd be okay. That's not unusual. So the pay was not a reason, but it also wasn't a hindrance for me. The weather. Well, if you live in Florida, you're going to be used to the heat. That's part of living in Florida. So you just get used to being outside all the time. I actually was deeply tanned. It's terrible now living in Missouri because I'm really, really white. But I was actually very dark tanned. I have a little bit of Indian, Native American blood in me, and it allows me to tan up really nice and dark. That didn't bother me at all. Being out in the heat really didn't bother me. Occasionally, you would find ways to cool off, but that wasn't a problem. It was something, though, that you learned to deal with, that you learned little tricks on how to keep cool and how to survive with the heat, make sure you drink lots of water. So a lot of the things that people think of as bad things at Disney really weren't that bad to me, especially when taking into account with the fact that you're working for Disney. You're working at the most magical place on earth. You're out there helping to make people happy, and you're working in an atmosphere where you can pretend to be somebody else. Just have fun while you work. My standard line when people ask what I did at Disney was, I got paid to play. And oh yeah, remember, take some pictures along the way. I got paid to watch people enjoy. I got paid to watch people smile and capture the moment. I got paid to enjoy those moments with people and sometimes help them create a special moment. I got paid to play with the characters and help other people play with the characters and capture those moments. I got paid to watch people start new relationships and reunions and engagements and capture those moments. I got to watch birthday celebrations and family reunions and got paid for it. So for me, Disney was just an absolutely incredible, magical experience. Yes, you've got the backstage stuff, and honestly, you hear horror stories about Backstage. It's really not that bad, and some of those stories you hear, they're a whole bunch of hooey. It does give you a different perspective on the park, but in some ways, there's times that it actually makes it more magical. Because when you know how it works, and then as soon as you step through a door, it's transformed from, okay, this is a working mechanism to, hey, it's real. It's something that I absolutely loved about my time there. It really transferred down into Silver Dollar City as well. When I was working there, again, I took on a different kind of role, a different time period. I went from being a guide, essentially, in a fantasy world, to all of a sudden now I'm somebody from the 1880s, and maybe I'm a train robber, or maybe I'm a train conductor trying to help protect my passengers. And if I was a conductor, I would put on kind of a Western swagger, especially if it was cold, because I got to wear my duster jacket. And, you kind of strut around in that a little bit, and you're carrying around a shotgun. Or if you're a robber, hey, it's goofing off. And so you get to really adopt a personality and play a role in the park and help make it become real to the guests that are coming in. And for me, that's just a blast. I've always enjoyed that kind of thing. I've done drama in college, and I actually performed a little bit of Shakespeare, as weird as that sounds. I've done church plays and dramas, and so to be able to take an active part in a drama that lasts all day is really kind of cool. Except in my cases, it was probably more of a comedy than a drama. But if I had to take all of that and try to combine it down into a short reason and boil it down to something simple, it's because I love performing, I love theme and amusement parks, and I love working with people. That pretty much sums up most jobs at a theme park and at Disney. Yes, I could have been a ride operator, and that would have been fascinating and fun for me as well, although a little bit lower pay. I wouldn't have had quite as much guest interaction, but I would have found ways to interact with the guests and to have fun with it. I could have been a cashier, in which case I would have gotten to enjoy a whole lot more air conditioning, and still would have been able to interact with the guests and do some things like that. I wouldn't have done a kitchen job. I might have done custodial. I wouldn't have been real keen on the cleaning up, but there would be a lot more time to interact with the guests. So that's kind of what I looked for in a park. Everybody's a little bit different. Some people work at theme parks because of the perks. Getting into the parks free and other discounts and things like that. There's a lot of people that's why they work at the parks. It's not something to be discounted. I loved the perks that came along with working at the parks. And I've actually done a couple of videos on those. And while they were nice, they weren't the main reasons I worked there. They certainly contributed to why I wanted to work there. But really, it was the big three. It was the performing with, interacting with guests, and being at the parks themselves. So that's why I did it. I know that there's a lot of people who work at parks for other reasons as well. If you work at a park, I'd love to know what your reasons are. Why do you work there? Why did you work there? Why do you continue to work there? Maybe they're different than mine. Probably a lot of people have different reasons than mine. But I would love to hear them. If you know somebody who works at a park, hey, share the video with them too and let them comment in on it. But for me, there will always be something magical about a theme park. Even though I don't work at them anymore, when I step through the gates, there is still a sense of transformation, transportation, change. There's a sense that you're not where you were anymore. And I love that about them. It's why I still visit them. And yes, even as I visit, there's a lot of times I still kind of imagine myself in that role and what it would be like to do it still. They're memories I cherish, and who knows what the future holds. Maybe years down the road, it could happen again. I don't see it happening again, but I wouldn't necessarily complain if it did. Thanks so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed this little look at why I worked at theme parks. Again, I'd love to hear your reasons if you've worked at one or what you enjoy visiting about them too. Thank you so much to my patrons as well. My patrons rock, and I have some awesome ones. In fact, I actually added on a couple this month that I want to make sure I give a shout out to. So thank you very much to T-Chest Media, Joshua Sheeha, and Rebecca Bell for signing on through Patreon to be patrons of mine and help support me. I so much appreciate it. My patrons rock, and I get to do so much because of their support. And hey, they get all sorts of extra little benefits as well. Everything from free previews of the videos to extra perks, special online meetings with me, and other things like that too. If you want to know more about it, check out Patreon. There's a link down below. Thank you too to everybody who's watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to like and share the video. Let me know what you think too. I'd love to hear your comments below. Thanks so much and God bless. So we are recording. This is forgetting to flip the screen around. Hoo-hoo. Okay, that way at least I can see what on earth I look like. And slightly adjust the camera. There we go. Still slightly off. There's one for the blooper reel. Okay, there we go. But that wasn't a problem. But that was something that, it was a problem. This one is just so rambly. If you haven't subscribed yet, hit that button right there. If you'd like to see another great video of mine, there's a good one right there for you. And if you'd like to be like these wonderful people and support me on Patreon, hit that link right there. Thanks so much.